This lady, here's what I hope she shares with us. Number one, how she pulled it off. Because she did. Last month, myself and another person from another club were in here and we were arguing who was going to get it. And I said, I've got Brita speaking to us next month, and this is who I'm supporting. And he goes, no way she will make it. No way. And I said, well, that's who I want. And you know, I ran for state chair. I didn't make it. I think this lady has the courage, the energy, and the drive and the vision to make it work and turn our state around. I really, really hope and pray nothing but success for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, kid. Go for it.
Thank you. Good evening. So I'm Brita Horn, and thank you. I'm doing this. I had somebody call me yesterday. Don't worry, there's been a gazillion people calling. Somebody yesterday goes, you do know you're like one of 50 people in the country that does this? And I went, okay. I mean, I've been smiling quite a bit since Saturday, but that was a little bit of a reality check for me. And ma'am, I have been here before. I think I was here under another situation, but years ago I remember being at this club, so I appreciated being back again. So again, in Brita Horn, everybody's asking me where I live. I live halfway between Steamboat Springs and Vail. It's a little town called McCoy. Total of 32 people, and about 18 of us have the same last name. So you wonder why I'm doing this. I have to get off the ranch a little bit. And then also, Excel Service, we consider God's country. And I've been very fortunate to be a part of the volunteer fire department that we started on right after 9/11, when we realized we had to wait for Vail or Steamboat or Oak Creek. I can even go down to Yampa, another volunteer department, to join us if we had an emergency. And so we started a fire department, and it's been great. And I was able to learn a lot of fire, a lot of EMS. I worked for Vail Ambulance and Eagle Fire, Gypsum Fire for 15 years, right there on I-70 while our kids were growing up. And then, like I said, I've been the last 17 years as the fire chief. So when you hear these people, and if you're on any social media, they keep on, our naysayers call me a DEI hire. DEI hire wasn't around 17 years ago or 23 years ago. So we'll just say bless their hearts. So anyway, so this has been exciting. I've been a part of politics for a long time back in Chicago, where I grew up, upstate New York. We actually have a little bit of connection. I went to college at St. John Fisher, then college, now university. I'm a Kodak baby, so that's why, of course, Rochester. And then went on to help a lot of campaigns back then. Even I was helping run campaigns, and those people for State House won. So we went to Albany, and we went to Albany. They wanted to go to D.C., so we kept on doing this train all the way. And I did a lot of years in Washington D.C., working at the Westin hotels, cost controller, part of security, and then had a side gig as a bartender at the White House. So that's the one I always use. Use those icebreakers, like who is a bartender, using that. So that was during the senior Bush and Quayle days. So I've always been involved. And then Westin Hotels transferred me to California. And the property in Rancho Mirage wasn't ready yet. This was back in 1989. And they're like, will you go to one of our other properties? So, okay, I'll go to Vail. I want to get as far as I can, keep going west, west young girl. 28 years old, and wanted to put that all on your resume in the days. And then I couldn't afford rent. Vail got expensive. Rent went from $600 to $800, and it's in the thousands now. So I looked at the back of a phone book. We all remember those. There was a map. Saw a little town of McCoy, drove up to there, and met the whole community. They helped me find a little place to live for a whopping $250. And so I was in between that and having a Jeep and gas price, and got in a car accident with Fish and Game real quickly. And so it was a snowstorm. We were waiting. That was Routt County side, because part of McCoy I live in is on the Routt County side, but Eagle County fire chief. And so we had to wait, and so this plow driver came, and he had to stop, wait for the accident, wait for people to come do the report. And so I'm sitting on the blade with him, and this guy named Dale, and he's like, hey, I'm having a New Year's Eve party, you want to come over? And it's the other side of town. I'm like, sure. So I get there, and come to find out, that's where I met my husband, his twin brother, Gary. So it was a choice of sitting in the living room with the ladies talking or playing Monopoly and drinking beer with the boys. No, I was in the kitchen. And that's where I met him, and we just knew each other for 3 months, and I was being transferred out to California. And then and I'm packing my things, and he's unpacking me. unpacking. He was unpacking me. And then he sat me down on the sofa and he says, I can't take my cows to California. Will you marry me? And I'm going to tell you, I didn't know what that meant, but I said yes. So 34 years later, like I said, 2 daughters, one in Kansas, one in Nebraska. One's a farmer with a son-in-law and grandbaby, and the other one's an attorney in Norton, Kansas, and she just got county attorney up there and works for 2 cities. So they went to go find some places that are a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more conservative, I guess you'd say. So that's what I've been doing, staying really busy with politics, helping candidates all along the way, know how to do all that. I've been working for many years for CPAC. I think you all know CPAC, that has a DC, and then during COVID we were in Florida and Texas. So I'm very fortunate they hired me as a volunteer coordinator during the event. So I go through a list of over 200, 500 people that apply to be a volunteer, go through all that after they go through security and background checks, and have the volunteers, and then we go to the event and we run the event, keep President Trump, whether he's president or not president, all those years, safe, and making sure everybody had a good time at that event. And they always ran about 20,000 people coming. And it's now done now. It's not going to be at National Harbor in Maryland. We're going to be in Texas next year. So I have this ability to gather volunteers, get them excited about what they're doing, and enjoy it and have a good time and get the job done that we need to get done. So I've been very fortunate with that, not only with the volunteer department, a very small department, but on these big events. And it just seems to be my service, my heart, and what I want to give back. So when this opportunity came up, and it's come up a couple other times, and I watched other people get the job, I was always ready to put my name in the hat and something would happen. Remember when Ken Buck ran, and then he was our chair for 2 years. So I just kept an eye on it, and it was always on my heart, and I'm like, okay, this is the year. This is a year, because we're seeing so much change. We're seeing so much differences, and we just can't be doing what we were doing, which was kicking people out if they weren't 100% enough. They weren't litmus test enough, pure enough. And that just didn't set well with me, because everybody should be welcome. We should welcome everybody into the Big Tent. And I've been saying that time and time again with all the different media outlets, like we're opening up the Big Tent, rolling out the welcome wagon, rolling out the carpet to say you're all welcome. Let's find a place for it. Let's get back to, if we do anything from the 80s, so my first person I ever voted for, which was Ronald Reagan, let's do the 80-20 rule. Let's just get along with 80%. When the gentleman asked me earlier, we're going to be on social issues or fiscal issues. Let's work on fiscal issues, because that's the things that really matter to us, and in our wallet, in our pocketbook. Those are things we can get along with, our economy. I mean, it was great that President Trump was able to help us reduce the price of eggs. Wasn't that crazy, huh? Yeah, I know, we're all laughing about it. I'm like, that was crazy. Or, in crime, if we talk about all the different things that happen in crime and how difficult it is to be in Colorado, and I'm listening to a lot of young girls that are saying they're just coming up with ways to, when they go up to a stop sign in Denver, a stoplight, and they're not really comfortable with everybody coming and wanting to squeegeeing their windows and all that, and how they just really come up and they're uncomfortable. They're being kind of like surrounded by a lot of people, and it's just been a really difficult time for them. And as I said earlier, again, referring back to the interview, I know maybe people won't be on TikTok. I'm fine with TikTok. I think it's fun. You get to find things that are important and important to you. And it's real interesting with TikTok is like you find the things you always watch. So mine seems to be always about faith and God and fire trucks. So that's what I watch. My husband's a John Deere Green, John Deere Green, John Deere Green. Because one time he picked up my iPad by accident. He's like, what is this? I'm like, it's not yours. So it's funny how we do that. But I was able to, with some politics, to start noticing there's a lot of young girls in Denver. They're like, what do we need to do to turn Denver red? And I'm like, my first thing is, we've been here long enough. I don't think Denver ever was red. Okay, so let's start there. But they're just so tired of the cost of living and the economy and the crime and what they have to walk across, and just to have a nice city lifestyle. And so I'm reaching out to them. They have my number. Like, let's have coffee. Let's talk about it. What do we do? How do we bring them in? So we have to really figure out how to message and messaging. And I know somebody brought my list, and we can talk about the next 100 days. We're already on day 96. I'm already counting it down. And that, communication and that messaging to the young people is going to be different. Messaging to the 250,000 Republicans active in Colorado that didn't vote in November. Where the heck were they? Well, how come they couldn't put that in the box, couldn't get their ballot in the box? There's on the independents, 300,000 independents. They lean right. We need to get them to vote for us too. One of the things that I noticed right away in November, which gave me more fire to run for this seat, that we had 3 candidates for sure up in Weld and Adams County. 40,000 ballots were not processed because they need to be cured. So everybody knows about curing a ballot. It's not being counted because the signature doesn't match or there was an error. There's always all these different errors. 40,000 between 2 counties. So candidates named Gabe Evans, Dan Woog, Ryan Gonzalez, and then we had Kelty. Remember Rebecca Kelty? She won by 3 votes down south in Colorado Springs. They're all calling, and their campaign managers were like, "What can we do to get this done?" Because we had less than 10 days. Usually you get 10 days, but there was a weekend and there was a holiday. So we only had 7 days to do this. And we're like, holy moly, this is huge. And we knew the state party didn't have that function. They didn't have that procedure. They didn't have that, what I call factory. They didn't have that infrastructure to do it. And so the candidates were calling and they're like, what can we do? What can we do? And I'm like, okay, let's get the list together, figure out what you're doing, because they were getting the list from national, from the NRCC, and they were also getting it from helping out from Heidi Ganal with Road to Red. And they were able to mesh the 2 lists and come up with some really good phone numbers for everybody. So while they were doing that, a whole bunch of my friends and I, especially up in Weld, Natalie Tennant, one of my favorite friends, and we all started making phone calls and putting it on X and putting it on Facebook. Who can help make calls? And so we got a list of 80 people and a lot of people that would never normally help. And they're like, this sounds like fun, let's try it, So we've made these lists just to be about 30 people per list, and their IDs and their names, their address, their phone numbers. And then we started a script, a real simple script saying, hey, because in those big counties, and I'm pretty sure in this county, they do that text to cure, where you can do it online, you can do it with your phone. In my community, we only have 25,000 people in our county, so we don't do that. So we had to teach everybody how to do text to cure, give them a script, and then have them just make the phone calls. And we had a 5-point plan. It was call, text them, call again, text again. And if we didn't hear back from them, they put a little note on every one of their pieces of paper and sent them back to us, whether they took a picture or digitally. And then the candidate knocked on their door the next day. So we got all the Republicans. That was easy. It wasn't enough. We needed the independents. And then we're like, oh no, how are we going to know which independents are they? So we came up with a different script. And it was like, hello, this is Brita for the Republican Party. What'd you think of that race last Tuesday? Wasn't it great that Trump won? Well, depending on whether they hung up on us or called us names,
Right.
we didn't call back. And we went on to the next one. So we actually got some really good data of finding out on those independents which way they're leaning. And the right-leaning ones, absolutely. We got them, and they got them all across the board. And let me tell you, that script we stole from the Democrats. They've been doing it for years. So it just had a chance to find out that we could really make a difference and really give President Trump another congressional candidate, Gabe Evans, and also, like I said, our 2 up north, and then the one down south to be at the Capitol to help fight. I mean, we really needed all those extra people. So that's the kind of things when I see. I don't think it's a fire chief thing. I think it's common sense. I mean, you see things not getting done right for a long, long time. When do you decide to go, okay, I'm going to raise my hand, I'm going to step up and be in the gap, and let's do that. And I think everybody was looking for that. We only have 22.79% Republicans, not even 23% Republicans in Colorado. We can't win with that. We need more. We have to raise that number. We have to find more. President Trump showed us how to do that, because 5% of his votes across the nation were Democrats. 317 million Democrats voted for President Trump. He brought over a Kennedy. I mean, that makes I was an infant when John F. Kennedy was shot, and that just gives me chills just now. We brought over a Kennedy. We brought over a Tulsi Gabbard. Those are those, you know what I mean? Those are the Democrats, that we need to grow this new party. It's America first. I want it to be Colorado first. And let common sense. Look, everybody's raising their shaking their hand. So I don't know what else to say in terms of, it was wonderful. It was 2 rounds. If you don't know about what happened on Saturday, there was 2 ballot rounds. There was all 7 of us the first time. I got 145 votes, what I think it was about 12 more over Lori Sane, which was the somebody that would promised to and was committed to making sure Dave Williams continued, his campaign of the way they've been doing things for the last 2 years. So we really became just polar opposites. Then the other 5 kind of fell below us, and they had 2 minutes to decide whether they would, go for another round, which they were allowed to do, or pledge their votes to somebody else. And we were very fortunate to get really technically 4 out of those 5. One wasn't able to use the mic. That's another long story. But we ended up getting all the other people. And that just shows that coalition. Because we all were speaking much the same things on this other side. And we really wanted to make sure we were making a stark difference of what we want the party to look like. And all of them, I've already called them, and they all want to be a part of the team. So they're finding their place. There's room for them all. The one younger gentleman, Ryan Everett, very, very strategic, oh, look at Miss Nancy's here. Yay! He's very strategic. He has a lot of ideas. I was on the phone with Richard Holdorf this morning, another realtor farmer, and he was a representative way up there in Washington County. He came up with some ideas too. We were finding out, really, we're very much alike. He really likes that, what do you want to call it, regional idea. So if you don't know, am I going too fast?
No.
Okay. So if you don't know, a week before the election, Dave Williams was sending out emails to us about the transition and let us know about how the cycle is going to go and how it's going to go. And I can tell you whether we're getting there. We're good. It's just slower than I like. But he said that they were going to close down that office, that the people who were offering it to the party for all these years, you might remember him, he passed away 6 months ago, Buzz Colbert, and his widow and his son, Carl, weren't very interested in continuing that relationship, which is fine, because I was going to probably close it down anyway. So we have 2 months just to go through we have like 3 storage rooms in there. We got to go through a lot of stuff. We'll see how that goes. But I like the idea of a regional office. I think we should have 4 regional offices, use I-25 and I-70 as our cut, and have them in the 4 corners. And just have regional offices so we can have paid field directors. We need to use these young Republicans. These young Republicans like us. Out of the 30, there was 31 of them that were able to vote on Saturday. And we had probably 70, if not 80% of them. And then on the second round, we got all of them. And they're looking to see how to do this. They want to get in. They want to be a part of the party. We should let them in. It's not my party, it's their party, isn't it? It's not ours, it's theirs. It's their turn. And these last Gen Zs, they're Zs, right? Ex-Zs. They're very conservative. Very conservative. They were the ones that got stuck going through the school system when they were in the public school system and had to write a certain way for a certain teacher so they could pass. They saw through all that. That never made any sense to any of these kids. And so they went to college and now they're out and they really want to be involved. So why wouldn't we? That's how we build our farm team. That's how we build our bench, because they'll see how it goes, because we have to knock doors. We have to make phone calls. We have to make community. We have to have pizza parties, just like you're doing tonight, and bringing new people in. We have to be a part of that. And what can we do in our area? And let's teach them how to do it. And I hope in the next, 22 months, I think is my role, because we just started here April. 20 months, we're gonna be voting for statewide. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do in 20 months. And I want to get it enough in a pretty box and put a bow on it and hand it to the kids.
Yeah.
It's theirs. We need to let them in, because they haven't been let in before. They were just never considered important. And when I worked for President Trump on the Trump victory team with the NRC back in 2020 down in Farmington, I had CD3, which was about 13 counties, and they were all young there, and they loved it. They loved being a part of it. And they didn't have offices either, so we used to do these what we call pop-up events, which I hope we can do again. And it's much like the same as when I brought Scott Pressler here 3 years ago. One summer, we circled the square state for 9 days, And we taught everybody how to do it, how to do, get out the vote, do the voter registration, how to just have events, have a tent and have a table and have all your swag, because everybody loves buying that President Trump swag. But also sign-up sheets, also volunteer lists. What can you do? How can you help? How can you be a part of this? And we would go on a Saturday right in front of the golf course, because we know we get a lot of people. On Wednesday night, we went over to the ball field, because we know that's where all the parents were. And we just kind of went around town. We were never in one brick and mortar place. We moved around. And I'm really hoping for the field directors that we'll get, like I said, 4 of them. There's 8 CDs. Maybe give them 1 Republican and 1 Democrat. Let them see the difference and how to work it and how it's going to be we have to speak differently. Well, we're going to have to market differently. So I see all those things. Those are all those ideas. And I'm so fortunate to have a huge team I want to be a part of it. Everybody, every day. I'm getting dozens of people are like, I'm coming back to the party. I'm going to come back Republican. I was so disgusted about how the past was going. We want to be a part of it. What can we do? How can we help? And we're making sure that we're getting that done. Is there anything else before questions?
Questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, too. Who has a question? Sir, oh, sorry, somebody behind you, you're next. No, okay.
I think he's got seniority.
Go ahead.
Anyway, it's kind of fascinating. I have 2 millennials and 2 Zers, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of interesting watching the Trump campaign is, the Joe Rogan, the podcasting, the social media deal. I mean, that was a huge lift,
Mhm.
huge lift. And my 2 Gen Zers, of course, the TikTok, I don't even know I know what it is, but I don't, not so much the Facebook, because that's more Generation Xers, Facebook. But anyway, that whole social media thing, and we know this, right? If we added up the Democrats, registered Democrats and Republicans, we added them together, that still doesn't even add up to the unaffiliates.
Absolutely.
So how do we
100%.
reach the unaffiliates? It's them, and then it's those generations, and through social media. My 2 little Gen Zers, they've been befriended and all that other stuff because, they take a conservative stance, but you wouldn't believe that group. They're just so polarized, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you're right. There's a lot of them that are out there, but they don't know how
How to engage.
how do we reach them?
Right.
And that's really,
And that's that communication. So I'm really hoping for a platform, because I talked to this one group and I'm seeing how it will work, because there's all the counties, 64 counties. And so some people have some really good websites, some people have some really good data, some people have some really good Facebook pages. And we just need to figure out how to get to connect. So there's this one company, this platform that really wants to help out, and it's a group, like I said, veterans. And we want to do something on the state level, have a state platform, and then it will trickle down to the counties that want to use it, and then be able to go horizontally or vertically in to something that's, if the county has what they like, what they have. And so we can still communicate. But you're right, it's messaging, it's communicating, and it's just having things in time. Because what we're finding out, I think we all know this, we watch TV, we see the shows, we see what shows we watch. And then, was it like 2 days later, we'll get an email with it all. Like, somebody has to tell us about what happened 2 days ago, but it's like 2 days ago. Media now and information now is 24/7.
Yeah.
Even on Sunday. I mean, I gotta turn off the phone to go to church, you know what I mean? Like, it is nonstop. And so we're hungry for it that way. It's taught us to be that way now. It's not just, the 5 o'clock news. I know, I grew up that way in Chicago, and then remember the TV, we could turn it off like 10 or 11?
Yeah.
Because there would be nothing else. Remember? It'd just be that circle or whatever it was. I mean, in Chicago, Saturday Night Live was the last thing on Saturday night, right? And I couldn't even watch it as a kid. And if we're FYI, here's another icebreaker story. We lived in Wheaton, and I had three older daughters, 3 older sisters, there's 4 of us daughters, and they were 8, 10, and 12 years older than me. My sisters dated the Belushi brothers. If you have any idea of Chicago, this is before Second City TV, this is before Saturday Night Live. But my mother was the music teacher and had to teach those boys. Quite a fun time in Wheaton, so just sharing. So anyway, I'm just saying, so now we're at that 24/7 insatiable kind of news organization, and we have to be that way for everybody. So it might not be for us, we might turn off at 9 o'clock, but the ones that are not even getting on until 9 o'clock. And so we're going to be able to still communicate to them. So it's going to be different messaging for different groups. There's not going to be a one-size-fits-all anymore. We're not. We're all different, even in this room. And I wouldn't expect us to have all the same thinking. That's not how we roll. Sir?
Quick question. You mentioned curing ballots by a cell phone.
Yes.
Because I know when I cured ballots, I got a list. I had to drive around with forms and knock on people's doors and get them to sign the forms.
Yeah, remember those days?
Yep.
So those, like I said, those, text to cure is great because technology is our friend. It has to be. I mean, I know that you're right. Don't get me wrong. There were so many people that were on that, our hybrid that we had on Saturday because they had to show their ID on the hybrid to show that before they went from one room to the other room to be approved to vote. And there was a lot of people that didn't like that either. I'm more of a fan of going back to proxies if you can't make it. And if we really feel like we need people to be engaged and they can't be there, let's get a system that's already out there, that's like a third party that can handle the voting. So we don't have to worry about it. But it wasn't too bad on Saturday. I have to admit, I had friends that were up there watching the tallying and making sure everybody was showing up and everybody was not in the waiting room. And it was done well. So I think we can do it. But it took 7 computers and 10 people. It was very intense, heavy. And it took a long time to get 102 people on the Zoom. Because we were only missing, out of everybody who voted, out of the 508 could vote, only 51 people did not show up, either in person or online. This was pretty serious, so I think that's how we won. Because I called every one of them.
That was going to be my question to you was, how did you work each and every county? How did you network in those counties?
I was everywhere. I put more miles on the Jeep, circling the square state. I went to all the counties that would have me. I spoke to them. We had to reverse engineer the list. I wasn't able to have the list in the beginning. They were a little curmudgeon about that. And then I had to sign an NDA that I wouldn't share it. Interesting times. So don't worry, every block, there was a hurdle every day. And maybe there was 4 hurdles on some days. It was make my hair stand up. But we just kept going through them. We just wouldn't give up and just kept at it and just working on it. And then every time something came up, a voice, a negative Nancy, I had friends that go after and kind of work on them so I could just I made every phone call. I left a message. A whole bunch called back. But it's relationship and it's community. And once you find, bless their hearts, Weld County, and it went, really well. They had 26 votes and 24 of them, plus all their legislators, all went to me. Well, then there was one person who did controversy. So they had to go through this whole controversy thing. And then we showed up a month later and we did it again and we got all 26 votes. So people were really engaged and they were part of the team. I think it's just, you don't have to get paid to do this. You just have to feel like you're part of the winning team. Sir?
I'm coming in pretty much in the dark. I haven't really paid too much attention to Colorado politics because what I'd always heard was it was pretty dysfunctional. Republican politics. But I channel what little donations I can make to organizations like Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA and
Love those guys.
Hillsdale College and the kids. For you to say that there are conservative young people in Colorado is exciting because none of us here are.
So there's about 13, I think, out of the state, there's about 13 chapters already from different counties for young Republicans. So they have a national network, they have a state network. I was at their convention up in Sterling about a month ago up at the college, and I watched everybody get voted in. They have national committee men, they have national committee women. They really mimic what we're doing. They just have a whole nother layer. And one of their minimum way they start, they have to have 7 members from that county to become a chapter. And so up where I live, Routt County, we need maybe a little bit more with Moffett County. We might need a little more kids from Rio Blanco. There's way more land and cows than kids, And if we can get those 7 and just be a regional one, we're working on getting them to be a chapter too. And I think that's gonna help.
All right, now, I'm so uninformed. Are you the new Colorado director of
See, they didn't mention that when they
Chair.
introduced.
Oh, okay, so yeah, I got elected. So I was telling you about the first round, and I was saying how we got all the votes. Got all those people to pledge their votes to me. We did another round.
But
and I
what
won
is
by-
your title?
My title is Colorado State GOP Chair.
Well, I like your energy. I need help knowing how to direct mine,
No
whatever
worries, no worries.
resources
Oh, I
I can
appreciate
contribute. I saw our representative just standing on the national news last night behind Jayapal talking about that lady in the Congress, Jayapal,
Yeah, Pramila,
what's her name?
Pramila.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Jayapal.
bring me up to speed, I'm
She's
sorry.
talking
And then
about,
my focus has been answering everybody's questions, I apologize, so what is this?
I don't know what it
It was
was.
for, okay.
Yeah, she's a far left legislature from,
Gotcha.
yeah, and
Washington
our
State.
Boulder representative was standing behind her, and, I'd really like to find a way to contribute kicking them out.
There you go. So we're gonna go after a lot of these, and then we have to make sure we fill the open seats. So another one that was a fire in my belly was 18 open seats last year. The Democrats won, hands down, no opposition. There were CDs, House districts, Senate districts. There was one Board of Education. We should have had a mom or dad somewhere. We didn't go out and reach it. There was no function, no procedure, no mechanism to get that done. And the rest were DAs. Like I said earlier, I lost our attorney, conservative attorney, she went to Kansas. So, what I'm saying? We have to find those young kids that want to be DAs in these counties. And I know it's hard, especially in the smaller, more rural communities. I know it's hard, but they're out there. They're finding their place. So we have to go find them. But let's find these young Republicans first. Let them have some pizza parties and some beer parties, and then we'll attract them. Sorry.
Let's just, again, back to this unaffiliate group, like, how do you plan on reaching them, right? You were talking about that last night on the radio.
And it's definitely
How
going
do
to
we
be
get to them?
right.
Because it's a matter of education. And I agree with you, the financial deal. If they know, like, everybody can relate to the bad roads. Everybody can relate to that.
Right.
Everybody can relate to the prices at King Soopers, right?
Right.
Everybody, and here I am, living with these two daughters, and I'm like, of course they don't listen to dad, right? Of course not. I'm telling them, we're walking around the house, the state's $1.3 billion shortfall right now, they don't want to hear
I
it,
don't know
right?
what that means. It
But
doesn't.
your
Mean,
energy and fun to make it fun. No, seriously, it can be fun. It's enjoyable, right? And to bring that's one demographic. You're talking about youth, but
Right.
there's still
Still
the
more.
suburban moms
right.
that refuse to vote Republican here. How do we reach
Does every
that?
county,
I understand that.
We have to find what that mechanism is and get them to do it. I think what's happening in the schools is scaring them a little bit more because we're all saying, get your kids out of public schools if this is the way they're going to run and find these other options. And I'm glad that there's school choice and parents should have that choice. So I think it's talking, especially now, there's a lot of bills right now for parents. It's really bad for kids. I mean, I'm getting all those calls because they're like, we need your help. And I'm just like, I'm trying to find that parallel where we want to, support these efforts, but we need to work with the people that are already doing it and help getting them more people. So I'm really trying to engage all the 64 county chairs. They need to be more engaged.
do we actually have a working group in every single county?
We really do, but if you talk a working group, I'm gonna say, you have somebody, you have a treasurer, you have a chair, a vice chair, and you might have a couple vice chairs, but only one gets a vote, a secretary, a treasurer. But I think there's been so many years, and I could say this I've been watching for 30 years, everybody just does the routine. Do the meetings like we're doing now, have the Lincoln Day dinner, get everybody to do the parade, that we're not doing the other pieces because we're losing the party, right? Because we're losing for all the above reasons, and we need to find out how we can get more community and more interaction. Because when I was doing another group, it was a South Route group, conservatives, it was back, 22 when we had a lot of seats open? And we managed on every Sunday after church in the Legion Hut, get all the candidates from around the state to come in and speak to us and talk to us. And we offered free pizza and free coffee. Good night, thank you. I guess. So, and we really did have that community and everybody missed that. So I know it can happen. And it happens, because everybody came from all over the place. But all those candidates love coming up and finally getting a chance to talk to that those rural people, which we are. Sure, so.
I would like to hear you talk more about raising money.
I knew you were going to ask me
I would like
that.
to know that you're comfortable asking people for money because it is the mother's milk of politics. If we don't ask for it, we're not going to get it. Few are going to volunteer it. Now, I personally didn't give a nickel to the state GOP because of the nightmare of Williams. And if that's over, I'll be happy to donate. And people need to understand that it can be an accumulation of a lot of small monthly donations.
Absolutely.
$20 a
Absolutely.
piece, $20
Right.
every month, it finally raises some money.
Exactly.
But I would like to know that you're comfortable asking people for money.
So, yes, I have no problem asking for money. So, because I'm going to just a couple places. As a volunteer fire chief, 501c3, please. So I have to ask everybody for donations. We don't get any tax money. I write grants and just, writing grants and getting that kind of information and getting it across. I get a lot of grants for all these different products and all the different things that we need every year. And then just this last year, I was able to write a grant for a SAFER grant and a FEMA grant. It was for recruitment and retention, because I'm finding out that these young kids aren't going to come even be a volunteer firefighter anymore. They don't have the time, they have the kids, they have a couple jobs, blah, 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 blah. You can't do it for the t-shirt and the pizza anymore. They don't want that. But if you can help them out with their health insurance, you might get them. So we ended up putting together a grant for 9 other fire departments that are all volunteer across the state, including ours. We got a $1.3 million grant for health insurance for volunteers, for recruitment and retention. So you're saying that's granting, I get that, but I'm just gonna say, I'm used to asking for money. Back in 2014, I don't know if anybody knows the leadership program of the Rockies. Pretty, functional and visited about the principles and the foundations of the Constitution. And there's a whole bunch of us. They've been doing it for what? Shari's been probably doing it 25 years. I was very fortunate to be the class of 14 president out of 74 people, and I taught everybody how to volunteer, how to fundraise. And we got over $100,000 to bring forth to the next class. It was the first time they ever saw $100,000. So asking for money I never leave without an ask. And I've already been talking to all the checkbooks that you guys would be familiar with, the names that we've been familiar with, because those checkbooks were closed. Nobody was giving any money. There was not gonna, they were sending money out of state. I know a lot of those checks were giving money down in Florida. They're willing to give it back now that we have a procedure and we have to still show transparency, because we need to be able to show what's been going on with the books. And I think if we were listening to all this stuff going on, they were saying about the transition, they're gonna give us this binder, this white binder, and we were trying to get it on Sunday, we tried to get it on Monday. I got our attorney to get it today. So there's a binder that has all the passwords, has all the bank accounts. We have to do an audit. I mean, there's no way people are gonna give us money, especially that big money, unless they can see what happened to the money for the last 2 years. We have to be transparent to get that honesty and integrity back. So I really hope with that, I'll just find out what the bank accounts are. I know everybody, and I do it all the time for a whole bunch of companies. Just do QuickBooks, just do a quick, cut through it. We're gonna still do an audit, a forensic audit, but we need to say where the money went. I need to be able to answer that to you guys and then move forward. I'm not gonna keep looking back. Gotta move forward. We only have 20 months to elect Republicans.
Do you have an idea of what it is, how much money that the Democratic Party raises to Republicans?
It's way out
Is
of
it
whack.
way off?
It's way out of whack,
3
because
to
that's a
1,
lot of,
5 to 1?
right, because even I saw it this morning, it was on X, the old Twitter, X, and Jason Crow was talking about local money and contributions, and I didn't see the numbers, but his graph was this long out-of-state money, and poor John Fabritori, this much out-of-state money, do you know what I mean? And then in-state was smaller and his was smaller. I'm sorry, I don't remember the percentages, but I'm just outside money comes in. I really want to do something about that low threshold that we're allowed to give. It's a very low line for it. And then because the money comes in with those NGOs and other ways. I don't think Republicans were as good at that as not, are we? Not as good at that? We're not good at that.
No.
Right. Any other questions? Sure.
Because, I know when we worked for candidates before, the candidates basically weren't in charge of their own campaigns because of the low threshold for giving. And so I know the last couple of weeks of campaign with one of the candidates, all of a sudden money came in for the other side, like $300,000 for a state senate race, and just you got overwhelmed. In addition to the state parties, are we going to at least partially mirror what the Democrats have done by having a series of PACs or NGOs? We're not officially coordinating, but you're gonna need money coming in that doesn't officially go through the party.
Right, exactly. And we really want them to get to the candidates. So because we're gonna need operational money, but we don't need all that. They need to go straight to the candidates. And I think everybody felt really comfortable giving money to the candidates this last 2 years. We figured out how to get around what we didn't like about the party. So I really believe that really has worked for everybody. And yes, I think we can't coordinate, but we can coordinate.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think I saw a lot of PACs start getting information and putting stuff out in Colorado. You always know when people are showing up right before they're gonna get involved, because they start, their social media, they start reposting or start sending things out, or you just kind of, there's a mechanism, there's a behavior, and you're going, okay, they're starting to show up. We're gonna start seeing some of these. Yes, sir.
With the defeat of ranked choice voting, and it was defeated pretty soundly here. Is that finally put to bed, do you think, or are they gonna try to bring it
Cat
back?
Theory? Cat Theory? Are you kidding me? No, because we didn't even have a group, right? That was kind of unorganized. We all just kind of had our own idea that we didn't like it. There was never a group like kind of pushing against it. It was all just a bunch of individuals, and that history that we heard about up in Alaska was a big help, because we were able to share that story, and Kid Theory thought for sure he was going to get it this time, and then on that it was that Thursday before that Tuesday, I remember looking at the at FEC, I think it was, and he put like $4.2 million to it, and it was the state, because he was like throwing money at it. And it failed resoundingly. So I'm sure, I haven't seen anything on the title board, because you know how the different title boards are going. I heard the people who had 2 years ago tried to end those petitions on for, no boys or men and girls sports. There were 2 other ones that were very family generated, and they just didn't get enough time to get the petitions done. So I hear they're doing those again and going through the title board. I'm also on the Farm Bureau board, excuse me. So I apologize. I do need to eat. And on the state board, and I know they already did one wolf, to stop the reintroduction of the wolves. And then they're doing a second one because it'll be a little bit better than the first one. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on it, but I haven't seen a ranked choice one. And there's only a couple more months left. I think they only get to go through May to be able to have ballot initiatives approved to put up, to be put on their ballot if they get the signatures that they need. One more, back there, financing.
I'd like to see you point out, when you speak, some of the more radical things that the Democrats are doing, because we may not all be aware of them. I heard of one this morning that businesses introduced a bill, maybe that businesses would be punished or fined, maybe a criminal act, if they misgendered somebody, and to point out these radical measures that are being taken, because people don't know what are out there.
You're right, and I appreciate that, thank you. I always love criticism, I always love, what can I do better? Because you're right, that one is a really big one, not only as businesses, but also if parents do it, they can take your children away from you. That bill's on the table right now.
If they're living at home, that may not be a bad thing to do.
Talk about young kids.
I like that.
All right, but they'll take away, so you're right, there's all these, especially the parent issue seems to be coming up now, and they're working on the long bill and the budget, and I know I watched a little blurb with Senator Bob Kirkmeyer's on the Joint Budget Committee, and saying they're putting a lot of amendments, there's no money. Do you know they did, especially that money for the wolves, and they put, paid back, $300,000 to some of those ranchers for the wolves, depredation, and there's like $56,000 left, and there's still another bill for $600,000 on the table. What are we gonna do? There's no money.
SB 3 too, that's gonna pillage the wildlife fund, lose the Pittman
The gun,
money, yeah.
the gun
And
bill,
lose the federal funding too, this is gonna end up happening.
right, and so we're gonna, have you called Governor Polis?
Yeah, bunch of times.
Yeah, saying no, I called
He didn't answer.
I called my senator and my representative. On what? Well, he's always takes care of me. I have to imagine, you're so kind, I appreciate it. Every time I go to visit, he gives me food, he gives me water. So here's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna finish with this, if this is it. If, I have been on the phone with the White House and with the RNC. And I'm going to the summer event next month, or, no, May, excuse me. Yeah, it is April now. In May, I'm going to be going to Florida to the RNC's summer convention training. And we're doing everything we can. I will do everything I can to get somebody very important here. Let's have dinner. Let's do a fundraiser. Let's make some money. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the things that you want us to do to help you make your job successful?
Get involved with your party, get involved with a group, one of these organizations, your group. What do you guys want to do? I mean, there's so much on the plate. This is like a banquet, right? There's so many things. Do you guys want to work on getting out the vote? Do you want to work on cleaning up the voter rolls? Do you guys want to do more events? You want to go have coffee somewhere and invite more people? What do you guys want to do? And I'll help you do it. Miss Nancy? I'm sorry?
Mention the training.
The training, so Miss Nancy's gonna be helping us a lot with training. So we're not only gonna do training in face-to-face, but we're gonna have them already videotaped, so you can go online and watch them at any time. And we just need to train everybody how to do the basics. This is like how to get out the vote, how to talk to somebody at the door when you need them to vote. How do you what's the other one we were talking about all the time?
Well, how, be a PCP, what
That's right.
that, your offices, talk about caucus and assemblies when they come up.
Yeah, how to do that and be involved. PCPs is a big thing because there's a lot of openings everywhere. Even in Routt County, we have 18 PCPs. And I'm gonna tell you, maybe half are filled. And then you have to have 2 for each one, you're supposed to. So out in the more rural ones are filled, but the ones in Steamboat aren't, especially the ones close to the mountain. So we just really need you guys to be there, be present. So I like that one. I like that one a lot. PCPs, go find out what you need to do in Jeffco. Anything else?
Oh.
You want to say anything? Okay. Okay.
There are 3 people here that I do want to announce. Sally was at our state capitol. She represented us for about 9 years, was it?
12,
12. Oh,
before
sorry.
term limits.
Before term limits, okay. And she did a great job. And 100 years ago, when this club was powerful and strong and we did great, she would be there in the morning meetings that we had, giving us an update on everything that was happening at the state capitol. And then after Sally was John Whitworth. And John went from practicing medicine to practicing deception. Excuse me. John, you were 9 years then, right?
I was 7.
You were 7.
Yeah.
And then Rob stepped in.
My son
stepped in.
over, and then Sherry Giroux.
Yeah,
We were solid Republicans in House District 25. Then before me was Tony Gramsus.
Tony was there
Before
before.
that, we had
Yeah. And-
Philip by.
Yeah.
Who's that little fart?
Yeah, that's who I was. That's where I was gonna go. That's where I was gonna go next. This guy comes walking in, but flanky, Tommaso. We were blessed and so fortunate to have him in Washington. And before he got there, he was with the Department of Education, and he and I would get together and we would talk. And I was under Bill.
Which one? We had five secretaries while I was.
No, Bill Bennett. Bill Bennett.
Yeah.
And we're gonna demolish it, we're gonna rip it apart, it's gonna be gone. Yep, 1979, this is now 1982, we're talking 3, and we still have that piece of, you know what?
Yeah.
And as a retired teacher, I can attest to that it has destroyed our education, has destroyed our kids.
Yeah.
But when I would take my students once a year to Washington DC, Tom was the most gracious host. He and his team were there for us. The tours we would get, the things we would see, the things we would do. And I hate to bash on another Republican, but I'm not going to bash on him. But when Mike Kaufman took over, it was night and day. That's all I had to say. Okay. Listen,
You're very
thank you
kind.
so
Thanks, Rich,
much.
I appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Cup of coffee with us as we
Cup of
travel.
coffee.